And then you drop the Michelle Obama line. And I'm sitting there thinking like, why? Why did we have to go there? You're not going to fight Michelle Obama. This is not a fight. This is not a planting of a seed like Alex Pereira.
I thought I was giving her a compliment.
We know folks are going to do everything they can to distort her truth. My husband and I sadly know a little something about this.
Don't take my glory. I'll find you out.
Let's be very clear. Strong men don't need to put down women to make themselves feel powerful.
They should have gave me the mic right there. That just gave me more motivation. The code word's gonna be colon cleanse, because I'm gonna beat the shit out of them.
The things I say, you'll never hear me backtrack from what I say. So if anybody feels some type of way, they know where to find me.
Here's what Josh Hokit actually said when he thought nobody would hold him accountable. And here's what happened when the world made him explain himself. Because the explanation is worse than the original sin. At UFC Freedom 250 on the White House lawn on June 14th, 2026, Josh Hokit stepped in front of a microphone during a post-fight interview with Joe Rogan and said, out loud into a live mic in front of an audience of millions, Michelle Obama is a man. Am I right, America? And the crowd went quiet.
Calling Michelle Obama a former first lady, a man on live TV on the White House lawn is so insanely fucking disrespectful.
Michelle Obama is a man. Am I right, America?
This is not liberal snowflake propaganda. There is a big difference between what this UFC fighter did and a comedian telling an offensive joke.
Not the kind of quiet that comes from agreement. Not the kind of quiet that comes from shock so deep it flips into laughter. Just silence. The kind of silence that happens when a room full of people suddenly doesn't know where to look. That was the first tell. Even the people who showed up ready to cheer for whatever this man did inside the octagon, they didn't know how to receive that.
But you were on the White House lawn in an event that was already publicly ostracized because it feels like a circus act, but y'all are saying it represents freedom and everything that's great about America. Okay, cool. They were great fights, yes. But you're on the White House lawn and then you publicly insult a former first lady from 2 administrations ago? For fucking what?
They felt it. Something about it didn't sit right even in that moment. Now let's be clear about what that moment was. That wasn't a slip. That wasn't a comedian who miscalculated a joke and immediately understood the room had rejected it. That was a man who had already done this before, who knew exactly what lane he was choosing to drive in, and who decided the White House lawn at a nationally broadcast event was the right arena to make it louder.
Can somebody tell me why all these white men are out here feeling so threatened by Michelle Obama? Oh, it's because they're threatened by a strong, independent, intelligent black woman? Yeah, that's right. I've never seen so many bitch-ass wimps than all these Trumper MAGA men out here. Oh, Michelle Obama is really a man. Is she? Is she? Well, she ain't no man, but I bet she's got a bigger set than you do.
Because this wasn't Hokit's first time. Back in January at UFC 324, he called Brittany Griner a man. Same style of comment. Same dehumanizing framing dressed up as casual observation, and UFC did nothing. Dana White said nothing. There was no discipline, no consequence, no conversation that the public was invited into. The silence from the organization after Griner was the permission slip Hokit carried with him to June 14th.
She hasn't even held office in like a decade. How could you possibly be thinking about Michelle Obama? That'd be like Jalen Brunson when he won the finals MVP. He's like, oh, yes, I'm so happy to bring the Knicks their first championship in over 50 years. Also, Nancy Reagan was a whore. Thank you, New York.
He tested the system. The system blinked. And so he escalated. That is how this always works. You need to understand the mechanics here. The first transgression is the probe. It's the fighter throwing a jab to test your chin. When nobody checks you, you throw the cross. When nobody checks you after the cross, you throw the combination. Hokit threw his combination on the White House lawn in front of the entire country. And he did it because every step of the way, the people in power who could have said, not here, not like this, not ever, they let it breathe.
It ended with a vile remark about former First Lady Michelle Obama. Josh Hokit, a UFC fighter, took the verbal swing about Mrs. Obama. I'm not going to repeat it. It's too terrible.
Dana White condemning it after June 14th matters less than what Dana White didn't do after January. The condemnation without the consequence is theater. It's damage control for the brand, not accountability for the behavior. And if you've been watching this industry for more than 5 minutes, you already know the difference. But here's where this story stops being about UFC politics and starts being about something that goes so much deeper. Because Hokit didn't stay quiet after the blowback. He went to the Ariel Helwani show and he explained himself. And that explanation, that is the real video. That is the real moment we are here to discuss.
And then you drop the Michelle Obama line. And I'm sitting there thinking like, why? Why did we have to go there? You're not going to fight with Michelle Obama. This is not a fight. This is not a planting of a seed like Alex Prayer.
I thought I was giving her a compliment.
I don't think anyone viewed
Michelle
it as such.
Obama being a man that's like, she knows how to deal with adversity. You know, she knows how to work hard like a man. You know, when the times get tough, you know.
He said, and these are his words as he put them, that he thought he was giving Michelle Obama a compliment, that she knows how to deal with adversity like a man. Sit with that for a second. He looked at the wreckage of what he said, and he came back to the microphone and said, the problem is you misunderstood me. I wasn't insulting her. I was complimenting her.
Why does that come to mind in that moment? Like, you just got this massive win of all the things you can say. Why even go there?
I thought it was a perfect opportunity to, you know, show the world how great this country is with the freedom of speech. You know, you go somewhere and you say something like that and you die.
She's tough. She handles adversity. She does it like a man. And in his framework, in the world as he sees it, that is supposed to land as a defense. That is supposed to be the thing that makes this okay. It is not okay. And here's why it's actually worse. When you call a black woman's resilience masculine, you're not complimenting her. You are stripping away the very thing that makes her resilience extraordinary. Michelle Obama did not navigate the White House, navigate raising daughters in the most scrutinized house on the planet, navigate every racist attack and conspiracy theory and dehumanizing headline. She did not do all of that as a man. She did that as a woman, a black woman. And the fact that she did it with grace and power and dignity while people were doing exactly what Hokit did, questioning her fundamental humanity, that's not a masculine achievement. That is one of the most specific, one of the most uniquely female, one of the most specifically black woman achievements that exists in the American cultural record.
Let's be very clear, strong men, men who are truly role models, don't need to put down women to make themselves feel powerful. People who are truly strong lift others up.
What Hokit's compliment reveals is the architecture of the insult underneath the insult. See, there's a thing that happens to black women in this culture. It's been documented. It's been written about. It's been lived by every black woman who has ever had to be twice as strong, twice as articulate, twice as composed, just to be treated as half as human. And part of what fuels that is the cultural reflex to read black women's strength as something other than womanhood.
So why her and why a man as an insult? Well, history has an answer for you. The answer is coping mechanisms. History tells us that a way that white people have coped with the guilt of building the world's richest country on the back of a violent racial hierarchy is mythologizing black people into archetypes. Stay with me. So
to say you're too strong, too resilient, too unbreakable to be a woman in the way we define womanhood, as if femininity requires fragility, as if the softness the culture reserves for women, the benefit of the doubt, the protection, the basic dignity, as if black women have to give that up the moment they demonstrate the strength that they had no choice but to develop.
to cope with the abhorrent torture they were putting black women through during slavery, doing these torturous, horrible things to black women, to cope with it, you see in their literature, this narrative starts popping up, this hyper-masculinization of black women, that their torture is okay because these women can take it. They're not like regular, they're like men.
Hokit's compliment is a perfect example of this mechanism. He genuinely thought he was walking it back. He genuinely thought saying she's tough like a man was redemptive. And the fact that he thought that, the fact that he couldn't hear how that sentence functions as a second erasure, that tells you everything about how deep this goes, because the original comment called her a man as an insult, and the apology called her a man as a compliment. Both versions of the sentence agreed on the same thing. that being a woman, that being the woman she actually is, was not the frame he was willing to use. In his mind, in both the attack and the defense, Michelle Obama did not get to exist as a woman. She was either a man as a punchline or a man as a medal, but never a woman, never on her own terms. That is not a misunderstanding. That is not a clumsy compliment from someone who doesn't have the right vocabulary yet. That is a complete and total failure to extend basic humanity, and we should name it as such. And then this man goes on Instagram and he posts a fake apology from a satire account, and he captions it with cap. For those who need the translation, he was telling you he was trolling. He was proud of it. He wanted you to know he had no intention of actually reckoning with any of this. He said out loud, with the caption of a single word, that the whole exercise of accountability was a joke to him. And then he went on record saying he will never backtrack. Never. Not a softening, not a, I'll think about how I said it. Never. Think about what that Instagram post actually was. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't someone fumbling through the unfamiliar territory of public accountability. It was a calculated move, posting a fake apology, labeling it fake, and daring anyone to say something about it. That is somebody who understands the media cycle perfectly well. Somebody who knows that the second wave of coverage, the outrage at the fake apology, gets him just as much oxygen as the original comment. He wasn't confused about how any of this works. He was running the play exactly as designed. The trolling is the point. The refusal is the content. And every platform that picks it up and says, "Can you believe this guy?" is feeding the engine he built. Let that register. This is a man who is not confused. He is not a person who spoke without thinking and is now wrestling with the consequences in private. He is a person who knows what he did, who chose to do it again when given the microphone to apologize, and who then turned the apology itself into content.
The things I say, you'll never hear me backtrack from what I say. If anybody feels some type of way, they know where to find me.
Into proof of how unbothered he is. He weaponized the moment of accountability and turned it into another performance of dominance. And we have to talk about who absorbs the cost of that performance, because it's not Josh Hokit. He's unbothered. He said so himself. The people who absorb the cost are every black woman who watched a man on a national stage question whether Michelle Obama is a real woman, and then watched the same man explain that the nicest thing he could say about her was that she's basically a man, and then watch that man mock the entire process of being asked to reconsider. They absorb that. They carry that. They add it to a stack of moments that this culture has never properly acknowledged. Michelle Obama did not ask to be at the center of this. She didn't show up at UFC Freedom 250. She wasn't part of the story until someone chose to make her part of the story. She has spent years being subjected to commentary about her body, her face, her gender, her humanity. Conspiracy theories that had no basis except in the imagination of people who needed her to be less than she is. And what happened on June 14th, 2026 on that White House lawn was not a new thing. It was the same old thing with a new face, wearing a belt, holding a microphone that Joe Rogan handed him. And let's not step around Rogan's role in this, because that handoff matters. That microphone doesn't end up in Hokit's hands by accident. The post-fight interview is a curated moment. It is a platform that gets extended to fighters inside a specific ecosystem, one where certain kinds of edginess have been normalized, where the line between just asking questions and straight-up dehumanization has been deliberately blurred for years. Hokit didn't come from nowhere. He came from a culture that was already being constructed around him, one that told him that saying the thing everyone else was supposedly too scared to say was the move. That is an ecosystem, and the people who built it don't get to act shocked at what it produced. Dana White condemned it this time, that's noted. But the pattern is bigger than one condemnation. The pattern is that the Griner comment happened and the machine moved on. And when the machine moves on without consequence, it tells every Josh Hokit in every locker room and every post-fight scrum that there is a lane available. That if you say the quiet part loud and the people with authority blink, you own that lane. The lane was available. He drove through it. And now that the cameras are on and the pressure is up, the organization is performing outrage about a situation their own inaction helped create. You cannot have it both ways. You cannot let the first comment slide and then act disgusted by the second one. You either have a standard or you don't. And the record shows that the standard wasn't applied in January. which means the June 14th moment is partly on the institution that chose silence when silence had a cost. Here's the final word on Josh Hokit. He called a black woman a man. He explained that was actually a compliment because she's strong like a man. He mocked the apology. He went on record saying he'll never take it back. At every single step, every single off-ramp where a person with any actual introspection could have stopped and reconsidered, he chose to keep going. He is not confused. He is not misinformed. He is telling you exactly who he is, and the only question left is whether the people with actual power in that organization are going to finally decide that clarity is enough to act on. The crowd went silent on June 14th. They felt something even if they couldn't name it. What they felt was the specific violence of watching someone question a woman's womanhood in public and call it bravery. That silence was the audience telling you what the institution wouldn't. Michelle Obama is not a punchline. She is not a medal. She is a woman who handled everything this country threw at her, while people like Josh Hokit handed out verdicts on her humanity. And the fact that she never needed his validation, the fact that she has always existed completely outside of his framework, that is not something he gave her. That is something he was never equipped to take away. If you're tired of the watered-down takes and want the real story behind what's happening in the culture, stick with BarzBuzz. We don't do PR. We don't do spin. Just the truth the industry doesn't want trending. Subscribe and make sure you're notified. The next one drops sooner than you think.